All right, we're live. This is sick. Okay, Aaron, dude, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
It's always wonderful to see you, my friend.
Yeah,
I'm very excited for this.
I appreciate the gifts and the drink. So what was this called?
This is absinthe. I forget the exact name of it, but it's absinthe and Welch's sparkling white grape juice.
Yeah,
Makes the perfect, in my opinion, death in the afternoon.
yeah,
And it calls for champagne, but you can never pin down like a quality champagne that makes it like pair really well. And
Yeah.
Welch's is just the safe bet.
yeah. This is solid. And I'll tell you what, the afternoons have died. No, daylight savings is over. So it's like it feels like.
I got a text about that. It's like, how you feeling about it? And I'm like, I didn't even realize it was a thing.
My goodness,
With digital phones now and the alarms being on that.
it just switches automatically. You don't
Yeah.
have to think about it. Isn't it crazy that I know a little fly? Isn't it crazy that like our whole world shifts an hour? It just blows my mind.
Did you know heart attacks spike during daylight savings?
Really?
Yeah. Our circadian rhythm and our health is so linked with sleep. That's the one thing Americans don't get.
Right.
And you can see it. It's a study going on twice a year, every year on the American populace, and it's a study on health. And every single daylight savings, there's a spike in suicide, there's a spike in heart attacks, and there's a spike in strokes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense. I don't understand why I had all those thoughts that I had today.
it's ridiculous, man. Well, you're just cutting one end of a blanket off and tying it to the other side.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
There was a time when, like just a year or two ago, where it almost got, well, I heard it passed in one section of the legislation. I was like, oh, we're going to finally get done with daylight savings. But in reality, it was just like one piece of the cog, and the other cog's like, no, we're going to keep this, which I've never heard a very good argument about why. Someone keeps on saying the farmers.
Yeah, it's tradition, essentially, at this point. Arizona doesn't have it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I remember when Indiana didn't have it. This is in my childhood.
really?
There was a time, then we switched. And
So why?
yeah, I don't know, whatever governor and politicians at the time wanted to really. I think they didn't like being with Chicago for half the year and then 2 hours apart.
That makes sense.
And
Economic centers really tell you how to do things.
Yeah, yeah. You've been on this podcast before, and I really enjoyed the conversation we had. I don't know, maybe a year ago, half a year ago.
7 months.
7 months. Okay, that's awesome. Yes. And you texted me about BRICS, and we chatted a little bit. And so I kind of like, I was like, dude, we need to talk about this on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some stuff happening. In the past podcast, you actually, the one we had, you had talked about BRICS then.
Right. Well, they've been trying to do it. The last time when we had that podcast, they had gotten out of the Chinese-led summit.
Yeah.
This go round, it was a Russian-led summit. I've been trying to get videos of that translated into English, but YouTube is Stonewall and all of that.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of speculation, but other than that, I don't know what exactly was said. So there's a disclaimer there.
Wow. Yeah. So it's been kind of cut off from us, but it's a very important thing that the whole world. So BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, and what's the X? China?
Well, there's China and there's a lot of them.
Okay, but there's some big ones.
Well, the Middle East just joined, and we are officially
Iran.
off the petrodollar.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Did that happen like this week?
No, that happened probably 4 months ago.
Okay.
So not as doom and gloom as I thought it would be, but we're getting there.
Yeah. What's up?
BRICS countries are Brazil, China, Egypt, Ethiopia, India, Iran, Russian Federation, South Africa, and United Arab Emirates.
Wow. See?
Yeah, a lot of people. They're technically the majority at this point.
Wow. Okay.
And if they wanted to, and what this meeting was about, as far as I know, was creating an alternative SWIFT system because Russia has been barred from the SWIFT system.
Okay. SWIFT is the payment type stuff?
Yeah, the international payments that the West uses, anyone involved in that. Fun fact, Russia is the most sanctioned country on the planet, more so than North Korea.
Wow. Yeah.
So they're looking for alternative payment systems. They're looking for, instead of using the dollar, using local currencies. India,
rubles, right? Are they the Russian ruble?
Russian ruble and Indian rupee.
Mm-hmm.
Those are main contenders. China wants to be very, very involved in this and be one of the leaders. But like I said before, they're very insular and they don't want to divulge their economics.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's no clear picture of what's going on inside there. Okay.
So that's the sticking point is Chinese transparency.
So that's why it switched over to Russia.
No.
Last time, or
the
BRICS
nations take turns heading the summit.
Gotcha. Okay. So the sticking point right now, why it's not up and running so well, is because of the Chinese transparency. Is that what you're saying?
I think so, but also it's a new system. They're just trying to get these trade agreements up and running.
Yeah.
But it's essentially official that all the countries mentioned, which are major trading countries, that they want to cut out America because we just mess with people economically with sanctions and tariffs and
or overthrow your government, or
you go against the petrodollar and you end up like
in war.
Yeah. Dead.
We need to provide you some democracy.
You can either bomb people or you can feed people. You can't do both. We've been trying to do both for decades now.
That's interesting. Yeah. So you said that we're off the petrodollar. Now, I mean, I know what that the petrodollar is. Everyone had to buy gas with American dollars, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So what is the standard now?
It's more free trade. You use your local currency.
You can buy gas from that. Okay.
So Indians will buy with Indian rupees. Russians will buy with Russian rubles, Chinese yuan. And it's just a more free-flowing market at this point. A little chaotic, but give it a couple of years, it'll stable out.
Yeah, stable out. Yeah. That's gonna. But is that affecting us at all?
Not right now.
Okay.
We're an economy of arrogance.
Yeah.
We assume we're the best, so we haven't felt those effects yet.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We will, though, probably.
Yes.
Because we were talking about that in the last podcast, is like once that, because that's what was kind of stabilizing us. In one level, is okay, you want gas, trade your rubles in $4 to buy gas for your country.
Right. It's the reason that China had so much of our debt is because they needed to buy oil with our money.
Oh, wow.
And so we can offload our debt to other countries by saying you have to buy this thing that you have to have in our money.
Right. Yeah. You want to power your house. You want to power your car. You want to power your tanks. Right.
Exactly. And you see a massive amount of people offloading American dollars right now. Really? Like they're doing it slowly so they don't crash the market because they're not dumb.
Right.
But they're
they don't want no democracy.
There's a progressive thinning of American dollar reserves overseas.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And we're a very fragile market. Are you aware of what happened in Japan?
I'm not.
So the Japanese stock market crashed, and because a lot of Japanese people were invested in the dollar, they had to sell their dollar assets to get back in and liquidize so that they could cover their
losses.
Yes.
Really?
And it was 0.25% increase in interest in the Japanese market that made our stock market crash. It wasn't a huge crash, but it was significant.
We felt it.
Yeah.
This was like maybe a month or two ago.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But we felt it, and we felt it for a little while.
I remember hearing about everything kind of tanking a little bit. I didn't realize that was from the Japanese.
Yeah. It was a foreign market altering 0.25% in interest rate, and it made us tank like that. We are unstable as hell.
Wow. Yeah. That's really reassuring.
Well, again, man, ride that dragon.
Yeah.
It's just embrace the chaos. As long as you're doing what you need to do. You said you were buying freezer cow.
Right.
That's the way to go.
Yeah. I really felt convicted last year about it'd be nice to have at least food for a year. in my house.
Absolutely.
Like, or worst case scenario, 3 months. You know what I mean? Like, if I had to eat every single day, I could probably make it stretch for.
Well, and you know, everything hits the fan. You're not having to worry about mortgage because the banks went under.
Right. Yeah. That's. You are also buying freezer cow,
Yes.
right?
Yes. New to that market. I've bought 2 halves. I'm doing carnivore, so 1 half lasts me and my father about a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Each of us are eating 3 pounds a day.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's down 40 pounds. I'm down 50.
Wow. Just like, yeah, going hard at it. That's.
It's super easy too because like I don't like cooking.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever I have that I've pulled out of the freezer, I just pan fry in my cast iron skillet and call it good.
Yeah.
It's I don't need to be picky. I add salt and call it good.
Yeah. That's it. You just go at it. Wow, that's nuts. I mean, it's nice to have that, right? And it's nice that where we live there's a lot of agriculture and the supply of cows is readily available. You had said the first time you bought cow it was just like probably 2/3 ground beef.
That was the second time. So I
yeah.
knew that I was getting ripped off.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The butcher I was working with, you had to be very specific on exactly what you were getting. Otherwise, they would just give you the trash meat.
Right. Yeah.
And so
Let's make some money. Here we go. Yeah.
I'm no longer going with that butcher, and I won't call him out because I don't want to get sued.
Nope. I understand that.
But I'm with a new butcher. They seem to be good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna explore my options. Not stick with the same one every time.
No, yeah. Did this new butcher? Did you get kind of like the organ meats at all?
They are putting those into the ground beef.
Oh,
yeah.
That's nice. Okay, so they're mixing a little bit in with the stuff.
Yeah, and they have pre-ground like meatloaf meat.
Okay.
So I bought that as an extra. It's not strictly carnivore. I don't really care.
Yeah.
I want to try it. It tastes good.
Yeah, they just pull up. Yeah, interesting. I got my organs separate, like the heart and the.
Well, I ordered an extra heart because
really?
I really like heart. Have you ever had like stuffed beef heart with like sautéed mushrooms and everything?
What?
It's so good. So good. Like spinach and sautéed mushrooms inside of a stuffed beef heart. It's so good. And you bake it.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I still have my heart, so I haven't even looked up recipes to cook it yet. And I'm getting kind of to the end of the bottom of the barrel. So I'm like, okay, what do I do with this liver? And what do I do with this tongue? And what do I do with this heart?
I am not a fan of liver. I really tried to be because
there's a lot of good stuff in it.
Yeah. If you eat the liver, then a cow is completely nutrient complete. You don't need anything else besides a cow as long as you're eating organ meats.
Okay.
To get all the nutrients, the micronutrients that your body needs.
It has everything. So,
everything, as long as you eat the organ meats. So the fact that I didn't like the liver, I'm really glad that they're putting it in. They call it the Heritage Hamburger.
Okay.
And it's got heart and liver in it. And
okay.
The reason I bought an extra heart is because they put the heart in the hamburger. And I really want it. I like it in steaks, man. Yeah. Heart steaks, just like chop it up real good.
Really?
Yeah.
And you eat it. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, you're just giving me ideas. I appreciate that. That's good. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, and it's cool. Like I think I don't know. We're not supposed to be eating processed foods.
I don't think so. I don't think that carnivore is necessary. As far as, cutting everything out because it's poison. There's a lot of carnivore people that are like, oats are bad for you. And it's like, sure. But it's expensive.
Yes.
And so what I'm trying to do is single ingredient foods. So anything that I'm cooking after I do
that thing.
Yeah, after I do the carnivore to lose the weight, I'm going to do single ingredient foods.
Right.
And if it's anything that I can't understand as a caveman that I am, then it's cut. Go away.
Yeah. I think that's smart. I mean, I've been looking at a lot more ingredients when I go and buy stuff and look at it. And I'm like, what is this?
Fun fact, Russia has banned all GMOs. Yes. Anything you buy in Russia is organic.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they've completely cut it out. Russia, man, It's interesting. I heard a story today about Russia and YouTube, and in 2020, I believe, or 2021, Russia fined YouTube 100,000 rubles, which is equivalent to about 5,000 US dollars. But they put a condition on it. It basically was something about how they were kind of censoring what Russia was trying to push onto YouTube, and they did not like that. So they said, we're going to fine you. And from that, they said every week that you don't pay this bill, it's going to double. And at this point, 2024, the bill is so high that no amount of money in the world, it's like 36 zeros or something like that behind it. And it's only doubling every week. It's at that point where it's just so much that
that's my problem with American media, is that everybody says we're the land of the free and the home of the brave.
No.
We do not have a free media. If we had a free media, we would be getting everybody's news sources. You say, oh, well, it's Russia influenced.
Yeah.
If Russia exists, it's Russia influenced. Like, if you know Russia exists, it influences you because that's how human nature works.
Right.
It's to the degree and what's the intent. But I should be able to sit down and watch Russian state media.
Right.
And
make my own choice.
We watch the BBC.
Right.
That's British state media.
Right.
PBS, that's American state media.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why can't I watch the Russian state media?
Yeah, because they don't want us to know what they're saying.
Right. Because if you don't know the enemy, then you're going to fear them, and you're going to fall to the propaganda of, well, we need to get into a third world war with Russia over Ukraine and a couple of oblasts that wanted to secede from Ukraine anyways.
Right. That's crazy. Yeah.
It's a mineral rights issue at this point, and I do not care.
And so much of our money is going towards it.
Yeah. What?
Taxpayer dollars.
Did you see what happened to San Francisco when Xi came over and
cleaned it right up?
Right up. But and the excuse was, if you're having guests over at your house, you clean it up.
Yeah, Dad's home. We got to get the homeless off the street.
Yeah. No, how about you just get the homeless off the street and you just keep it that way?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, and that is so frustrating. I think this whole left-right thing, I think there's extremists on the left that are okay with all this because they're just cultists.
Mm-hmm.
But I think all of this is media hype. All these polls that are saying, oh, there's this much support for this person and this much support for this person. It's all fugazi, and I think it's to help them cheat.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I think that there's certain states, like I watched a video where a dude was clicking the Trump vote button.
Right.
He clicked it 7 times, and then it auto-clicked to Kamala.
Right. I saw that too.
Yeah. So
on Twitter, I don't know, because you can't really watch it other places because it gets censored.
Which is so weird, because a year ago, Twitter was the devil.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I know. And they were censoring even harder than anyone else, which was very fascinating.
Yeah, the Twitter files that came out that were proving FBI contamination of vote elections.
Yeah. Like, hey, you can't say this and you can't say that. And hey, this person needs to...
Like the laptop.
Right. Yeah.
Which, like, yes, Joe Biden's kid's a pervert. That's not what concerns me. The FBI saying that you're not allowed to post this.
Oh, yeah, I think Hunter's way cool. He's so cool.
He probably throws the best parties, all the meth and hookers in the world.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, I don't know if you saw JD Vance on
Yes.
Joe Rogan. He's like, yeah, that's the one thing. Dude, Hunter's way cool.
I watched JD Vance and I watched Trump on Joe.
Okay.
And I actually like JD Vance more. I didn't know nothing about JD before that interview. I was just like, Trump picked him, whatever. But he seems like a chill dude, and I'm gonna read his book.
Intelligent.
Yes.
Like well spoken, could kind of like walk. I'm like, dude, this he's smart. You know?
Well, and he's of us. Like, he's obviously older. He's that Zennial generation.
Right.
But let's just replace all the boomers in politics with him.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of him.
So I listened to that, and then I listened to John Fetterman. I don't know if you saw that either. He had John Fetterman on, which is the
fat guy.
The fat guy that was had a stroke.
Yeah, he was drowning. He was trying to hold water for Kamala and he was drowning.
Well, it was interesting because they started the if you were to watch clips of it, it would make sense. But they start
I've only seen clips.
They started the podcast, and what you find out is he had a stroke right as he won the primary in Pennsylvania for him to become senator. So as he becomes senator, like the day before, has a stroke. A couple days before, has a stroke, wins the primary. So then he's got to make a decision if he's going to run against. At that time, it was Dr. Oz was the candidate he was facing, and so he's like, okay. And he's trying to get back to just normal. Can't talk for a little bit. But he had that much of a stroke. He gets back to it and decides, okay, I'm well enough. I can actually get better. I can actually improve. I'm going to finish this race and not drop out. And he beats Dr. Oz. So at the start of the podcast, he has an iPad on his ground. He's like, I need it. I can think. I can talk. My intellect's there. There's just a delay because of my stroke. And so anytime Joe talks, he would get closed captions. So he's reading what Joe's saying and then talking back. So when I'm watching the clips, I'm like, this dude, it's rough. And part of the podcast is a little rough because sometimes Joe would ask him something and it wouldn't come through or wouldn't click there. He's a smart dude. I don't think he's massively impaired. I think he can think and reason and have an intelligent conversation. It's just there's just a little barrier because he had a stroke, and now he's just 1-2 things he has to get through before it gets to his brain and he can comprehend it and then spit back. And so when I watched the clips, I watched a bunch of clips before I listened to the podcast. I'm like, dude, this guy's rough. He is just fumbling and da-da-da-da. But then when I listen to the podcast, I'm like, oh, this is actually not as bad. And it makes a lot more sense. And I actually came to appreciate him a lot more from that whole interview. That's where you have to take the whole piece instead of the bite size.
I agree, but still, we shouldn't.
When he was talking about immigration, it was
That's the part I watched.
Yeah,
but
that was the key moment.
We shouldn't have in our politics. I think if you have a stroke, whether or not you think you can do it, step down.
Oh,
if you're going to respect the office, step down.
But how many politicians right now? I mean, Fetterman. If you look at all the politicians, he's in the upper 90% of still cognitive compared to all of the other.
Winning by default is not winning.
Yeah,
my friend, that hurts my soul.
Yeah.
There's a Texas feller, I forget his name, but he's got the
Crenshaw.
Crenshaw was great. I do not like some of the things he's been saying lately.
Yeah.
As far as taxes and stuff, I think he leans too centrist for me.
Yeah. And if you look at his insider trading, ever take a little deep dive into that, he's making as much money as Nancy Pelosi, which is a little unfortunate, but keep going.
No. Right there. It just stabs me in the heart.
Yeah.
But I thought he was going to be our next Trump.
Yeah.
I was really excited about him. But even how much I dislike that.
Yeah.
Just having somebody younger who's quick.
Right.
I don't give a
Appreciate
shit.
that.
Just somebody who can have a conversation.
Yes.
And even Trump and Vance, I could follow JD a lot better than I could follow Trump because Trump's
all over there.
He has boomer bunny trails and he just wanders off sometimes.
Yeah. It wasn't as cohesive as I felt like Vance
and
was.
sharp because every once in a while Vance would just be like whoop-ah, and Trump didn't have that.
Yeah.
I love him. I voted for him, but we need younger people.
Yeah, we do. And I think the thing about Trump too was you can still tell he's smart. You can still tell he's all there. I didn't think he was missing half of his brain and slow. But you're right. It was okay, you can see it's starting to slow down a little bit. And granted, he may this past 50 days he probably hasn't slept at all.
Right. I 100% in the Trump camp. I'm a fanboy. You're preaching to the choir. I'm just saying because Trump had to get in this time.
Yes,
it just
this
had
is the
to
last.
happen.
This is the last hurrah.
But next time, I'm very glad that he's not going to come back. I want somebody young. I want a Vivek Ramaswamy.
Right.
I want JD Vance. somebody like that, somebody with a pedigree, and somebody at least young Gen X.
And smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I like Vivek.
Vivek is awesome.
Yeah, he's so sick.
You know, he's not a Christian.
I know he's Buddhist.
That surprised me so much.
Yeah, he's Buddhist for now.
For now, and God willing, he converts.
Yeah.
But
Until he realizes how much sway he would get if he did convert.
I'm just saying. But he's still a righteous dude. I'd vote for him regardless.
Yeah, he says a lot of really smart things. I do appreciate him. Yeah, it would be interesting. I think next election, probably see Vance and Vivek be the forerunners. Probably
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
And you couldn't throw no racist hate at him.
Mm-mm.
That would be the shield.
You
from,
could.
From
They
the
will.
lefties.
They will. 100%.
So?
Oh,
Think
yeah.
so?
Yeah. When it comes to politics, I don't think anything on either side. They'll do whatever they can to win. And both sides. I'm not, but they'll say whatever they want, and it's if it doesn't fit their narrative now, and the narrative always shifts, specifically for one side. It seems to shift really quickly whenever they need it to.
Mm-hmm.
And so Vivek will be very racist, and the fact that he is a Buddhist
they could do the whole India kicked out Palestine. That's the way that you have the whole Palestine issue is because it used to be a province of India.
Wow. Okay. Or Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Yeah, I was gonna say Palestine is pretty far, but yeah. They kicked out. Yeah.
That whole ethnic enclave was essentially exiled from India because of all the trouble they were causing.
I have a guy I go to church with who's Pakistani, and his parents came to visit, and we had dinner with him. He's like, we were talking. He's just like, don't talk about India. Just don't talk about India. I'm like, all right, cool. I won't. We just kind of danced around that issue.
Your people group pissed off everyone. No, I don't care.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that whole Middle East thing, just glass it all. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about your ethnic qualms with Sunni, Shia, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Keep it out of my backyard.
It's have you seen the meme where it's born too late to go to war with the Middle East, born too early to go to war with the Middle East. So you have the dude is born just in time to go to war with the Middle East. I don't know if that's the right, but it's we've always been the Middle East has always been at war. And so
and the farce that says that we're going to end the conflict and end terrorism.
It's never going to happen.
No, they're run with a religion of war, and I don't know if I should talk about.
Yeah, we'll keep it on the DL. We can talk about that off camera. Yeah, we go. I do want to go back because you had talked a little bit about you'd said the far right, far left, and these kind of polls and stuff are just to kind of cover the cheating that may happen.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Iowa this past weekend for a work thing, and it was interesting because I think there was a number of Trump signs, but there was a lot of Kamala signs. I've seen, and I think people are a lot more willing to put up a Kamala sign because it's maybe a virtue signal or whatnot. And you see it in Goshen here too. That doesn't really surprise me because of how Goshen is. But I was surprised as I was driving. I saw a lot of Kamala signs Kamala signs or whatever her name is signs out there, but I would say compared to the signs that I saw in 2020 or even 2016, there's not as many signs out, period. But the signs I did see were not Trump signs or surprised, if that makes sense.
Well, it's an open invitation for destruction of property if you put out a Trump sign.
Yeah, that's true.
There's so many TikToks of if I see it, I steal it. And just a bunch of people just causing havoc. And I don't want to get my windows broken in, so I don't put one up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but that's what I was thinking. I think it's a silent majority, if that makes sense. And
it's stochastic terrorism. So that's just using politics to terrorize somebody. It's a classic brown coats strategy of we're gonna not to bring up Hitler so early in the conversation. The brown coats they won with a 12% majority.
Okay.
The Nazis got in from a 12% majority, and they were using stochastic terrorism to keep people from openly speaking against them. The propaganda machine came out just like we got today, except there was nothing then historically or sociologically to fight that. So people just fell into the propaganda. You say the propaganda for 5, 6, 7 years, you stir up that hate, and the ones who know better can't speak about it. So a lie told enough times becomes the truth.
Wow. And so I mean, we're kind of seeing that here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You see it with the softening of language. Like, perfect example is it's no longer homeless, it's unhoused.
Right.
Motherfucker, I was homeless. I'm not unhoused. I'm not an inconvenience to society. My life's in shambles. Fix it.
Right.
And you soften the language, or you harshen the language if it's a political dissenter. It was
Everyone's a Nazi.
Everyone's a Nazi. Right. Punch a Nazi.
Right.
There's people who you've had on your show that I can mention later that I've been in private conversations with that were saying political violence is the only way to go about things.
Wow.
Yeah, they're in this community.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, they're there. Yeah. They're 100% here. Yeah.
So the fact that they're in Goshen, a backwater, imagine how bad it is in towns like Berkeley in California.
Right, or Chicago or New York.
Yeah, where these people have killed before. So if I have a Trump flag up or I'm wearing a Trump hat,
right,
just walking around.
Yeah, beat them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
There was the famous video a couple of years back where they're beating all white people. Get all white people on this street.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that. That was during the 2020
Summer of Love.
Yeah. The COVID relief plan.
Oh, God. I think COVID was a clear example of, oh, shit, the economy is doing so great. We need to tank it.
Really? Yeah.
It was the flu, dude. Yes,
yeah.
It was a novel flu. People were going to get sick, but it didn't kill as many people as they said.
No.
And not at all. And you look in your own communities, like 1 or 2 people died. A lot of people got sick, and a lot of people who got the shot got more sick.
Yeah, really. Yeah, messed up.
Yeah, I know a dude who lost his leg after he got the shot.
Really?
Yeah, he got like long clots.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's a symptom of one of the shots is you get long clots in your, and he lost a leg because of it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good.
And because the pharma companies have immunity to lawsuits.
Yeah.
Vaccine immunity shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah. Throw an experimental drug out there, and then we'll never get in trouble for it.
It's privatized capital and socialized losses.
Right. Yeah. So we'll make all the money because we're a private institution. We're going to do it. And then when we do take a hit, we're just going to make sure the taxpayers pay for it.
Exactly.
It makes sense. Yeah. That's messed up.
It stems back to too big to fail.
Yeah.
Really it does.
Yeah. 2008. Oh.
My dude, like we're old men because I remember that shit. And I know you do too.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And
do you think COVID woke people up though?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people are awake. We're not hungry enough to fight.
Yeah. Or the siren song is just too convincing. It lulls us right back.
Yeah.
We're awake, and then we're not awake long enough, and then we go back to sleep.
Well, everybody's fat and happy. It's bread and circuses from Rome.
Yeah.
It's until that goes away from a true economic collapse, and it's coming.
Yeah.
I know. There's the psychological thing is speaking of it will bring it about. And
right.
You just don't.
Right.
And so
no, it's good to hear.
Yeah.
And I'd rather be prepared for it to happen and it not than to not prepare for it and it does happen.
Right. The CDC has a zombie survival setup. So like hurricanes or anything. And they have one for zombies. And the reason they have that is if you can prepare for a zombie apocalypse, you can prepare for all disasters.
Wow.
And so I suggest everybody go to the CDC website, look up the zombie apocalypse survival guide, and just do everything they say.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a great resource.
I'm gonna take a look at this. This is nuts.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's I do think that COVID woke people up, but I think you're right. We are fat and happy, and we're just kind of rolling back into business as usual. Keep
Right.
pushing.
I forget if it was Franklin or Jefferson or who was it, but it says if you trade liberty for security, you will have neither, and you
Right.
deserve neither.
Right.
And that's where I am, but also I'm fat and happy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the first one to stick up, my head and get hammered down.
Right. Cut off or whatnot. Right. Yeah. Do you think that the economic collapse will disintegrate the United States or make it like more of an iron fist?
Oh, there'll be martial law.
Okay.
There will be for a time, but an army marches on its stomach,
Okay.
and as soon as they run out of money that is real, and they can print as much as they want, doesn't mean that the armed forces they're paying are going to get anything from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so,
especially like if you look at Germany, right, where the fiat just tanked, and inflation was nuts. I remember hearing stories of a guy went in to go buy something, and then he comes back, didn't have the money, walks out, grabs more, comes back, it's already been like tripled.
yeah, you see in Venezuela they pay them by the hour because it kept hyperinflating. So you'd get a raise every hour, but it doesn't mean it was meaning anything.
Yeah.
And the only reason that the companies could afford it because they were socialized.
Right. Yeah. So it's a taxpayer dollar. No
Exactly. So it's hyperinflation leading into more hyperinflation.
big deal. Yeah. Yeah. We're kind of feeling that a little bit. Except gas is down right now, which is kind of nice.
It is, but it's also $3 a gallon, and it was $1.80 a
I
gallon.
remember that.
Yeah, dude.
Well, and it's funny because it's like, look at where we're at right now, a day before the election, or whenever this airs, it may be after. But like, tomorrow will be the election day, and so it just feels like, oh, of course, yeah, gas is going to go cheap right before the election,
Right, because people have very short memories.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think I really do think that Biden, if I remember hearing right, Biden, he took reserves from our oil currency. We have like oil reserves, and he used a bunch of it, like in March, like released it so that it would come about now. Like there was some game that was played back then that allowed a lot of oil to hit to be able to push it down now.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what it was, but I remember hearing a little story about something like that. It's like, yeah.
And that's what they do. And now we have depleted oil reserves.
Right.
We're dependent on other countries for our energy.
Right.
We need to
Russia.
Okay, there's the thing about like Germany and the EU is they're
Yeah.
super anti nuclear because of the few disasters that have happened.
Right. Chernobyl. and all that stuff.
Nuclear's a lot safer than it was. But if you remove nuclear completely as an option, then you're just making yourself dependent on Russia
Yeah.
because they are the oil fields of Europe.
Right.
They have all of the resources.
Yeah. And then I know, like, right when the war happened, Germany had to buy oil from Russia.
Until we blew up the pipeline, and then, who could have done that?
Right.
No, it was America committing terrorism.
Yeah, or Zelensky, from what I heard. I think Zelensky's the one, but it was probably a direct order from.
The only people with the abilities to get that deep, that precise with explosives like that
Yeah,
are American, and we've all but admitted it.
yeah.
No, I think it was an American strike.
We just want democracy.
Right, and we're just looking at after our news. No, that's straight up terrorism.
Have you seen Putin's cronies and how big their houses? There's just so much corruption in Russia. We got to give them democracy.
Right. That's why Black Lives Matter leaders have like 3 mansions.
Yeah, it's
Just
like
millions and millions of
11
dollars.
richest counties in the United States are not around Washington. They are. Look them up.
It's so.
Take a look. Yeah, it's interesting. I wish I do wish we had straight information. Like I would love to just get info from Russia and make my own decision.
We need the raw data.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you say that the Russian state media is propaganda. I want to hear the propaganda so I can parse it out.
We're living in propaganda.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Like, yeah.
But I want to be able to hear all sides,
Right.
so that I know the intent of the Russians.
Right.
Did you know they just opened up migratory visas for Americans that want to get out of America?
To go to Russia?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's you sign up for a tourist visa for 3 months, and you can apply for citizenship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, straight up Russian citizenship. They have a fast track for any Western countries that
Fast tracker right into the Ukraine war, probably.
No. It wouldn't be that I just wouldn't qualify for military service because you're a foreign actor.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to leave the decadence of the West, Russia has opened its doors to Westerners that want to leave the cultural decadence.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like the stuff that's been cut off, we don't know anything from Russia. It's been cut off. And so the stuff I am gleaning, it's just been very fascinating to kind of see the different things. And I wonder if some of that is propaganda being pushed from Russia. I listened to this comedian. He's from Estonia.
Estonia hates Russia, by the way.
They hate it because they were part of the Iron Curtain or whatever the connection.
Well, and there was a kind of an ethnic genocide on the Russians' part, trying to just get rid of Estonians.
Really? Just
Yeah.
get rid of
Like it was not a good situation.
not great,
but that was like the USSR. I don't know if Putin was in charge by then, but it was messed up. And they had something called the Singing Revolution, which was really cool. It's a good bit of history if you ever want to look it up.
The Singing Revolution?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's very cool.
What's it? Just give me a little
They just sung in protest.
That's all. The Estonians or
The Estonians.
just sung?
Yeah, and then they got their freedom. It was really cool.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check that out.
So very, very cool. Estonia's still like a 90% atheistic country, so
yeah,
short-sighted as far as I'm concerned. But that's because they were behind the curtain and Christianity was illegal. So
right.
if you got anybody wanting to do mission trips,
That's a great place for
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, the comedian was talking about, there was a little bit of Russian hate for sure. But one of the things he mentioned is you walk in Russia currently right now, the newest iPhone you'll see is an iPhone like 3. Like they are so, he's like, dude, they're not like the stuff they're sending to the West right now is like the Russians are high and mighty. But if you were to look at them, like, they're still trying to, they're kind of in the Stone Age in some of the technology with some of the stuff. Like, they're not as advanced as they keep projecting, which, again, this is from an Estonian comedian talking about Russia, who they hate. But it was kind of interesting to think of, okay, I thought Russia was, running on all cylinders from like, okay, I thought they were the same as the West. In some ways, but
I think they're better in some ways and they're worse in others.
Yeah.
So for technology, it's just really expensive because of all the sanctions. So you can't trade with certain countries.
Well, and the best hackers are Russian. Sorry, keep going.
Fun fact: if you have Russian keypads set up on your computer, most Russian viruses will just bypass your computer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Russia doesn't give a shit if you're a hacker fucking with other people. But if you mess with Russians, they go down on you hard.
Really?
Yeah. So if your base language on your computer is set up as Russian, a lot of those just don't even mess with you.
There's like bypass. That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's a fun little tech thing. But I would
the
say
sanctions and going back to.
Yeah, I would say because they have to have a parallel economy. So they have their own version of Facebook. They have their own version of Twitter. Right. You saw Elon Musk right at the beginning of the war. He got off Starlink to Russia.
Right.
Which, dude, stay neutral.
Yeah.
Like, he's great, and I would really like to see him in the what was it, the
economics office or something. Yeah.
It was tightening global
efficiency.
Efficiency. That's the word. That's the word. I'd love to see that, but dude, don't get into foreign wars.
Yeah.
Like don't. Zelensky was an underwear model before he was a president.
Comedian very interesting. Yeah.
So
he was an actor.
Why we're backing one of the most corrupt countries. They actually had Nazis.
Yeah. They still do.
The Ukrainians,
Azov.
yeah, the Azov battalion, and you might say that's a fringe group, but it was in the thousands, and I don't care.
Yeah.
We were at a very brief moment in this war with the Nazis.
Yeah. Yeah. Funding the Nazis. No big
Yes.
deal. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Giving them like medals.
Mm-hmm. And we had politicians saying, well, Russia's a large country and Ukraine's a small country, so we have to go with Ukraine. And it's like, no. I'd mentioned it briefly in our last conversation, but I don't believe any country has the right to exist. I don't think that national sovereignty is a thing.
Okay.
I think that you only have a right to exist if you can defend your borders. Otherwise, you're a vassal state of someone else.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So unless you can defend your borders alone, you don't have a right to exist.
Wow. Yeah. So it's, because then you're just the pawn of whatever bigger entity that tells you what to do.
Exactly.
That's fascinating. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. You are whatever. You are part of them.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of how it's always been.
That's exactly.
Through history too.
Ethnic lines is why Europe looks so weird right now.
Right.
It's because this ethnic group doesn't like that ethnic group, and they couldn't keep them.
Right.
So they split apart. You got the what is it? Czech Republic that turned into
Czechoslovakia.
And now you have 3 other countries, I think, that came from those 2.
Yeah.
So, and it was because ethnic groups couldn't hold together.
Yeah. And they just split.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fascinating. Yeah. Well, I wonder what entity is moving them. Probably Europe.
The EU they're trying to be European America. They're trying to like replicate
the states. Yeah.
What's crazy is that Germany will be the linchpin to start World War III.
Oh, really?
I think so. And
how so? What do you mean?
Well, they're right now they're the economic
powerhouse,
juggernaut of the EU, and so they really just slap around the other countries and telling them what to do, and they're really being aggressive on the Ukraine front, like more so than America.
Like pro-Ukraine?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're using the fact that we're part of NATO to like back up. They're the barking dog on the chain.
Oh, and they're pulling everyone else with them.
Yeah. And so,
but they have a bone to pick with the Russians from World War II.
Well, World War II, they used Ukraine to invade Russia. That's the path they took.
Wow. Okay.
So if the EU is trying to take Ukraine as a vassal state, and Russia's saying, hey, no, you this is how you got in last time.
Yeah.
And they would be so close to be able to launch missiles into Moscow.
Yeah.
It's only makes sense that Russia was like, no, you don't get to do this. And there was 2 oblasts an oblast is essentially like a province.
Okay.
There was 2 oblasts that voted to get out of Ukraine and rejoin Russia.
Right. And they were closer towards Russia, right?
Yeah, they're right. They're
right on the border. Yeah.
And Ukraine said, no, this is not how it's going to go. We're going to vote again until we get the vote we want.
Okay.
And that's something similar we see in American elections, and you saw that with Brexit.
Yeah.
And Russia just said, well, you know what? Go fuck yourself. And they just took the oblasts, and that's what started the war. And I think because the fact the war started and the Russians are winning, you got a lot of people saying, oh, no, they're losing, and we invaded Russia for like half a minute.
Right. They made ways in, and then,
they got knocked back immediately.
Yeah.
I think when Trump gets in and he brokers a peace, there's going to be more than those 2 oblasts taken. I think,
really? Okay.
Yeah. I think we might even get to the river. I forget the name of it, but the one going through Kiev.
Okay. So that will be, then it'll be half and half?
I think so.
Okay.
That's just
thought, yeah.
It's just spitballing, but
I don't think people want, I mean, we've sunk so much into it that it's almost like,
lost cost fallacy is is
throw good money after bad money.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I've already sunk this much, therefore I need to put more.
Right. If we'd just given those billions and billions of dollars we sent over there to homeless veterans, how much better would we be?
Right. 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
But yeah, or the people in Hawaii, or the people in North Carolina, or
I still think that was lasers because you got a bunch of rich people right after like buying up whole islands,
oh yeah,
and all the blue stuff was left there.
yeah.
If you want to get on conspiracies, blue roofs.
I was
man.
thinking about that just the other day. It was like 2 or 3 days ago. I was like, I wonder if I should start a company where I just paint people's roofs blue.
China Insider is the guy I watch for all my Chinese news.
Okay.
Or a majority of my Chinese news. A trend right now in Chinese construction is painting your roof blue.
Really?
Yeah.
So they don't get
Like
laser.
every roof is blue now.
Really?
Yeah.
My roof's red, and I really kind of kicked myself for not going blue.
Just lasers.
Yeah.
I don't know
Blue
why.
no matter who on my roof. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. I thought about that though, like how good of a company would it be just like pre-painting people's roofs
Painting people's roofs.
blue. Yeah, shingles and metal and
Metal roofs, man. I do not know why some of the metal roofs around here, and I know this is a tangent, but they have that bar at the bottom.
yes.
They say it's to like stop snow from falling.
Yeah.
But I think it's the worst to just manage your roof.
Yeah. I got a metal roof and they asked me if I wanted that, and then I was like, well, okay. And they said it will cost you an extra $2,000. I'm like, nope.
For just a metal bar?
Yeah, it was like maybe it wasn't, but it was a substantial cost to the whole thing, and I'm like, I'm not interested in. And the reason was that they told me was it would help with the snow, like it'll just slide right off.
Right?
I'm not really worried about that in my bed. Slapping around the mic here.
That was like a barrel sound.
Oh yeah, I need to get something that's not so flimsy. Upgrade slowly.
I like this better than the last one. With,
Yeah. Yeah, the tweak. Yeah, I like the arms. Yeah, I've done some upgrades. The black and
I very much like it.
yeah. I had a guy on in Goshen. He the Goshen Chronicles. I don't know if you've heard of him. He does other podcasts, does podcasting, and he's got a producer like myself. And the producer came and gave me some tips about what I should do for my studio. He said you definitely do black, and I had the gold kind of in the past, and he said people, especially if you have a lot of the people that I have on, that their skin will blend into that gold, and so
Yeah, mine's definitely like pink.
yeah, so it looks a lot better with the against
yeah.
the black, and so yeah,
I think unless you have a dedicated set like Rogan has, this is perfect.
yeah, it works. Yeah, it's cheap, it's easy.
Well, cheap, easy, and I think it's real professional.
Yeah, looks better. Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So, I do want to ask, so us moving off the petrodollar, BRICS happening. Do you think BRICS will be the standard currency for like the one world government?
No.
Okay.
I think that a BRICS is a step away from one world.
Okay.
I
Well,
think
the
that's
U.S. is more of the one world.
one world, and the EU was definitely like, we control everything. We want the end of history to be us.
Yeah.
Now that we have U.S., we have BRICS, we have Europe.
The more currencies out there, the better it's going to be.
Yes.
Okay.
And ironically, I think you'll be able to flow more freely as an individual because you can't be tied down to one economic system. Like you can, like the reason I think that Americans feel so trapped is because the idea of moving anywhere else is such a huge shift. But once we get into the mentality of America isn't the culture,
You're right.
and we get into switching over currencies a lot more, like a lot of people would go to the EU because it's everywhere's the euro.
Right.
I think it'd be better if you went over to Europe and every country had its own currency.
And some did. Some like the UK still has a pound.
UK still had the pound, which was very helpful when they went to Brexit.
Right.
But Frexit is thinking about happening too. So,
France?
Yeah, if France left, that would be amazing.
Really? Yeah.
I want to see the EU die.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Tell me why.
Well, it's a force for evil, my man. Like they use economic terrorism to keep these smaller European countries and like it was founded as a way to fight Russia, and that's still in their ethos.
Yeah.
Is like
Look at where we're at now. Yeah, exactly.
Russia's the devil, no matter what.
Right.
So
It's the boogeyman.
yeah, and they operate off of a system of needing a boogeyman. They're operating off of a system of World War II, and I think we need something new to get rid of that mindset of World War II. And we're at war, and we're right after war, and we have to have that enemy, and we have to have the machine, the military industrial complex. We have to feed the machine.
Yeah.
And stir all of that up. And if it's not going well, then our GDP's going down, and it's the worst. So we need to feed the machine.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about GDP. I give a shit about quality of life.
Right.
And if our GDP's lower, but everybody's quality of life's better, then I don't care.
Right. Right.
Like
everyone's doing well. That's
right,
not that big of
right.
a deal. Right.
You look at England, and if they stopped all other immigration, their housing would go back to being affordable. Like England, if it wasn't trying to self-destruct.
Yeah.
And it really
is. Yeah.
If it wasn't trying to self-destruct, you'd have the Shire, and you would have Harry Potter everywhere you looked. It would be the tourism place to go. It would be safer. It wouldn't have all the rapes and all the murders.
Did everything start ramping up when Brexit happened?
No.
What was happening beforehand too?
The grooming gangs have been a thing for 30 years now.
Okay.
And what's coming out now is you're seeing the I forget the name of the government they use, but the local constabulary was proven to be in cahoots with these grooming gangs, covering up what was happening.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they didn't want that debt. It's racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the cudgel of racism.
That's been the I've heard a lot of that in podcasts recently that I've been listening to, where they're like the Britain that was and the Britain that is are two different, and the culture and the society is pretty much gone. That was old Britain.
Yeah, that was beautiful and wholesome, and now they're going for multiculturalism. And there was I forget the guy's name, but there was a colored feller in the Scottish Parliament, and he just went on a 3 to 5 minute tirade about how everything's white. My dude, you're in Scotland. This is where they make white people.
Yeah, yeah.
And he just had such venom for the people, and I think that I'm not going to say like a cleansing, because ethnic cleansing's got a bad rap to it.
Right.
But I think a moratorium, like they fine Poland because they don't let people in.
Right.
The EU fines Poland.
Right.
And the Polish president was just like, they can fine us all they want, and if they fine us too much, we'll just leave like England did.
Wow. Yeah.
But they fine Poland because they're not bringing people in, and we are not the place to go. You need to stay where you are.
Right.
And it's nothing against you. It's just
we got our stuff we got to deal with.
Yeah, if your country sucks, make it better.
Right.
And there's a pathological like need for us to destroy ourselves as penance for something that was essentially a myth.
Is it the leadership, you think? Is that like virus kind of getting into?
No, if you look into like Bilderberg and I forget the feller's name, but the main devil guy, what's his name?
Yeah, Davros or
Davos is the thing.
Yeah, what's his? I know what you're talking about. The main dude, the Darth Vader.
Darth Vader. Yeah, he's
what is his name? It'll come to me.
There's a bunch of groups, BlackRock and State Street do it a lot too, where they'll pay companies, or they'll buy a significant portion of companies and require this multicultural bullshit to be instituted, or they take that money away.
Right.
And they do the same thing.
Investment money comes from if you are diversified.
Yeah, and there's a diversified list where you check boxes and you either are part of it or
they've
you're
got a
not.
score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really it's just follow the money, and they're being paid to do this, and for some reason these mega rich crazy guys are wanting to undermine the economy. They're wanting this. And
what do you think they're tapped into?
I think it's Satanism. I think it's straight up Satanism. You look at what's going on in Hollywood right now with everybody's a pedophile.
Right.
That's
It's coming out like
yeah.
real quick. Amber Comrie and Finch just happened. Like he was. Tell me, who is it? No.
Well, they're them too.
Rothschilds
The
are
Rothschilds are the
No, he's the head of. What is it? He's once I figure out it's. I know who you're talking about. He literally dressed up as Darth Vader, and he's the guy who says you own nothing and be happy. I forget what it is, but yeah. That's the
Rothschilds though. They're the larger group. I actually think that they'll be the 10 kings in the book of Revelation, because the 10 kings give over their crowns to the beast.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and there's 10 heads of 10 families in the Rothschilds.
Oh, interesting. So you think
yeah.
That's
I legit think that the Rothschilds are satanic.
I mean, that's not. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a whole conspiracy like Rothschild is German for red sign.
Okay.
And the original Rothschild owned a gold and silver shop, and in front of his store, he had his name changed to Rothschild because there was a red hexagram, so a 6-pointed star, in front of his store. That's where the hexagram comes from.
It's from his store.
Yeah, so that you have the Star of Baal,
okay.
which is the demon of the Old Testament, where
or the god that they would all follow.
Yeah, and they would sacrifice babies to.
Yeah.
You got that now with the Planned Parenthood.
That was a big thing. Like Gideon was, that's what everyone was worshiping his time. That was a big.
Oh no, Star of Remfam, wasn't it? Remfam or Baal, one of the two.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's the only star mentioned, and there's no Star of David mentioned. It's Star of Remfam, Star of Baal. It's a red hexagram. He changes it to blue. You get your Israeli flag right there.
Oh wow!
Because Rothschild was one of the main people putting together the state of Israel. So,
interesting.
Yeah, that's why they adopted that symbol.
Because they funded it.
Mm-hmm.
What? Okay, yeah. Because we talked a little bit about this. It's like I'm getting all these different pieces of information. We have conversation, and then in the culture, I'm catching little things too. It's the story, the propaganda that I think most people have been told for a long time is starting to unravel because of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can get a lot of sources of information. Yes, it's still censored. Yes, it's still hidden. But I think that communication is happening at such a speed where you can't catch it all. And it's not coming from 5 channels anymore. It's coming from 1 billion channels.
Exactly. So you can't censor it. There's the doorway to get in. The reason these people would do things with children that they did to get into the club is because that was the fee you had to pay. The selling your soul was doing that to be one of them.
Right. Yeah, and it puts you on. Once you do something, then you can that's a very dark place.
If you want to get into like the Israeli as a country or Israel as a country, I would very much suggest there's a documentary on YouTube called The Marching to Zion.
Okay.
It is fantastic. You
What's up? Klaus Schwab. Yep.
Well, that's one of the fellers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that thought he was going to be the Antichrist. I don't think so.
Yeah. You don't think it's Trump and his false prophet is Elon Musk?
That would be hilarious. Elon Musk has described AI as summoning the devil, and he has worn a Baphometian outfit.
Right. Yes.
So, there's concerns there, but I think it's just because he's an ignorant atheist.
And pulling in the Neuralink.
Neuralink is just terrifying.
Is absolutely terrifying.
I think in order to be the Antichrist, you have to be of Jewish descent.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
I think that will be a requirement. There are texts that say that he would have to come from a town east of Turkey.
Okay.
I forget the name of the town, but
Constantinople? No,
I think Davos or something like that. Not
okay.
Davos, but it's a European EU stronghold right now.
Okay.
And there's a lot of things there that are really creepy. Like if you look into the Hadron Colliders.
Yeah.
Have you seen the
Yeah.
statues of the Temple of Earth Destruction?
What is that called? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Where they're shooting those atoms against each other.
Why are they blessing it with pagan gods? Like why are they
The
leaning this
entrance,
heavily into like occult symbolism?
When they opened it was this huge ceremony of like it was very occultic. That was nuts. Yeah. What was that? Yeah, that's yeah, and then they're like, this isn't big enough. We need to make one even bigger.
And they've got a bunch.
Do you think that's a CERN, right? That
CERN.
type of stuff.
CERN is the collider, but I'm speaking of like the statue in front of it. That's a Hindu destruction goddess.
Yeah, Shiva, right?
Whoever,
goddess of destruction.
Why are you leaning into that pagan iconography? You're supposed to be a scientific, like secular peoples, but you're leaning heavily into. Do you know we have a statue of Baphomet in our Congress right now?
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it's we have to respect all religions, so they put one of those up.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I had a guy on my podcast, and he was talking about the January 6th protest that happened. We were chatting about it. He's big into Freemasonry and kind of uncovering some of that stuff and talking about it. And I want to have him on and my dad on at some point.
Real quick. I don't mean to interrupt you
for
your story of him, but Freemasonry is just a study of the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah is the 33 spells of Jewish mysticism.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So you have 33-degree Masons because they're learning each spell for each degree.
Yeah, there's. I mean, I know the Freemasons are following Jabulon is their god that they follow, which is Jah, which is kind of like Yah, El, which is Baal, on I forget whatever. But there's like it's a hybrid of 3 different gods. It's an entity that they're like.
But they swear that their only thing is serving a higher power, not any particular one.
It can be anyone can, but no.
I was thinking about joining the Masons, but they make you make an oath before they tell you what the oath is.
Yeah.
And right there, I'm out.
Yeah. Well, the oath is giving up your firstborn.
Is it?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you get into some weird stuff there. Yeah, the Freemasons is no good. In my opinion, not that great.
But yeah, no. If you look up their, I actually have a Freemason book. I'll give you.
Yeah.
If you look up their stuff, it's just a study of Jewish mysticism.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, they do a lot of like text before, like Mesopotamian text and Babylonian and so anyways, this guy was talking about January 6th, and he's like, who died? There's one person that died that whole time.
Right, a protester who got shot.
Right.
By a scared cop, and then they tried to say cops died, and they died afterwards of
But where was that protester killed? If you look where they were killed, is where they make the laws of the land. It was shot by a cop, or was it a sacrifice?
Oh, I'd believe it.
You know what I mean? Like, what if it was like, hey, we need this blood here, innocent blood killed here to make, you have these statues of Baphomet. You have this stuff like, there's some stuff happening at a high level that, it was a cop that shot a protester, or this was a coordinated effort to like do some stuff.
That's where I disagreed on your previous guest. Was he didn't think that these things were.
I was talking with Adrian.
Moving and working and active. I think that they are, and I think that
things are a lot more fun when you do think they are, in my opinion.
Even if you think they're not, it's like. The people doing it think that they are. So, you're looking for motive. There's religious and there's financial.
Right.
That's 100% of someone's motive. And you see that in these high-ranking Satanic
no matter who
groups.
it is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You have just out-and-out Satanists with a lot of money, recruiting Satanists, doing rituals. Even if you think they're not real, they think they're real.
Right. And they're doing it. They're either mimicking it or actually doing the rituals. Yeah, I watched a podcast with who's the El Salvadorian president? I forget what his name is. He's great. It starts with an N and last name's a B, but he was talking about how he got rid of MS-13.
Oh,
and,
he imprisoned all of them.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
He's the MS-13. They are like they're not good.
So MS-13 has been in California since I was a child.
Oh wow!
And they're open Satanists.
That's what he was talking about.
They are 100% open Satanists. You have to kill someone or rape someone to get in the group.
Well, yeah, which is it's a ritual.
Yeah,
to get in.
yeah. Oh, it's a blood ritual. I think that all spiritual anything is based on blood. So for it to be real, it has to be involved in blood somehow. And you see this with virgin sacrifices. You see this with everything that they're into. But the big one,
like killing your
baby sacrifices. Yep. That's blood sacrifice.
What's his name?
Nahib Armando Bukel Ortez.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So
thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. But any magic that you're seeing that's real, and I think magic exists because it's just spiritual doorways, and you're allowing things to, you're opening doors or you're shutting them. And there's legal precedent given over to these entities that can work in your life. Like the reason a lot of people don't see it nowadays because they're not doing it. You know, there's not blood sacrifices in that thing. Why do you think there's miracles happening over there so much but they're not having? Because blood sacrifices don't happen out in the open here, but they do in Africa.
Yeah.
And so you see a larger presence on both sides.
Yeah, those doors are way more open over there.
Way more open. So there has to be a stronger influence on the angelic side because there's people fighting true witchcraft.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right, but I think the blood sacrifices is becoming more like we're seeing a lot more here.
Mm-hmm. There's a group of witches that operate. I forget which city it was, but they pay for women to have abortions as long as they're allowed to be present for the abortion. So they get the credit for the blood sacrifice.
Oh, wow.
That's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, that's.
And we're in a society where you're not allowed to say that's disgusting.
Right.
Like everybody's religious is valid. No, you're fucking evil.
Yeah, there's a lot of evil stuff happening. Well, I'm going to take this back to where we were talking about the EU and Russia, right? Having a bad guy that we're fighting against, there's bad guys inside our area right now. You know what I mean?
Well, and Russia's the only place that's like, you want Christian values, here you go.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. He said it when Putin was talking to Tucker Carlson, he was talking about this was a religious thing.
Yeah.
He stepped back and kind of explained it all. Yeah, it was very fascinating to think about some of that stuff.
He's well-spoken. He's thinking thousands of years, not tens of
Long
years
game.
like we're thinking.
Right.
You know, you keep the invasion of Europe, the invasion of the Americas. We're going to be the third world in 2 decades.
Yeah.
If that's the case, even just that's going to collapse our economy because a democracy can't work on an IQ under 80. If your average population has an IQ under 80, the democracy will collapse. It's a fact of life.
Really interesting.
And so, you know, I'm not calling Mexicans dumb, but I am saying that a lot of them that are coming over,
not even Mexicans, it's whatever. Like the Venezuelans, they're just emptying their prisons
and sending them over.
The Haitians, you know, it's just
the prisoners aren't known to have the highest of IQs.
Right. Yeah.
And they're sending them to swing states intentionally. They're obviously undermining our entire way of life.
Yeah.
It will come to a head. I'm one that as soon as I can get my life in order enough, I'm gone. I'm going to Russia. And like I'm voting for Trump. Hopefully things get better. In the meantime, I'm preparing to leave.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's as simple as that. I don't think America in the next 20 years is going to be a better place to live than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully I'm wrong, and I would love to be wrong.
Right.
But I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're going to have a sweet currency. probably
I'm
at that
just
point when it's set up. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a moment where the European or the Russian and the American currencies flip. Right now it's 100 to 1 in one direction. I think it'll be 100 to 1 in the other.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah. Our currency is still the strongest.
Kind of.
With not built on anything right now.
Right.
Yeah. Just kind of the bowling power. But I think we also have so many resources. We have such natural resources. That
We do, but we don't tap into them.
No, we don't touch them. And we sanction them, or not sanction them, put restrictions and regulations on them.
There was a pipeline going through a reserve.
Yeah.
And then they had completely shut it down.
Yeah.
Move the reserve or I don't care. It's been 1,000 years, 100 years since we decimated your people. Either you're American or you go extinct. I don't care about Indian reserves at all. I don't think in this point in the day, you're not preserving anything. You're preserving a Stone Age backwoods people that I would not miss you. It's like in Alaska with the Inuits.
Yeah.
And they still allowed to whale hunt. They're still allowed to do their thing. If they stopped existing, I don't care. Like it's cold, but
yeah,
it's
interesting. I went to Iowa, like I was talking about, and when we stopped at a place called Starving Rock, it's in Illinois, and it's a really nice. We stopped to hike. My wife and Noah and my daughter, just real beautiful terrain. You're up high, you're down low. It's really cool to kind of walk around it. But the Illinois is built off of there was a tribe, the Illinois tribe, and so we were reading some of the history, and they had a religious viewpoint that matched up a lot more with Christianity than I was expecting. So they believed that there was one creator, and he was the creator of all of the gods. And there's deities, different levels of deities. And they were one of the only Indian subsets that believed that they would go on their own spiritual journey to find their spirit animal that would guide them through life underneath this creator. And most other tribes believed that maybe witch doctors or the religious class of their tribe could go on this journey, but the Illinois tribe believed that everybody could connect to God, not just one. It's just really interesting. There was unique, religious, spiritual things that they believed. That has been, it's still out there, but I think has been wiped off. It's very fascinating to think about some of that stuff.
Well, real quick on that, I think that you can see this when God creates the nation of Israel. He takes the Gentiles that were now established, because if Israel exists, that's when the Gentiles become a thing.
Right.
He turns them over to lesser gods. It says that in scriptures. And
Are you talking like Babylon? When they built the tower and they split them up into 72 or 70, and he said, these gods will take over. And then he takes Abraham and says, this is my people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that you get your pagan religions. I don't think that they were just praying to nothing. I think that there was influences.
Real spiritual.
Powers and principalities and powers.
Yeah.
I think that you put the weight of godhood on a spiritual being that is not designed for that. There's where that you get the innate corruption.
Oh yeah. Well, if you look at any of the pantheon of the Greek or the Roman, their gods were both amazing and did amazing feats, but super corrupt.
Yeah,
very wicked as well.
Mm-hmm. And then they were judged when God brings the Israelites out of Egypt, and then again, furthermore, on all of the gods that were all the Gentiles when Christ was crucified. You see that expansion, and the whole point of the kingdom of heaven is taking Babylon broke us apart. The kingdom of heaven will bring us together. But I only think the bringing together comes in when you accept Christ. I think you're still broken apart before salvation, and then the coming in together happens at salvation.
Yeah. Yeah. Or at least like tapping in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get
Because the blood sacrifice of Christ, of Jesus is King, he is the Lord.
Yeah.
And his blood sacrifices atones for your sin, washes you clean, that you may step into the kingdom of heaven. And at that point, you see a reunification, not before that. There's a lot of Christian churches that try to say that because of his sacrifice, all are already in the kingdom of heaven, but there needs to be a delineation there.
Yeah.
And there isn't.
No. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with those churches that say that. It's a little sketch.
A lot of the progressive churches, because progressivism has become a religion.
Yeah.
And it's infected a lot of Protestant churches.
Well, and I think atheism was a thing that kind of happened a little bit more recent in our lifetime on the grand scheme of things. And so when you step away from, I think religion is needed.
Mm-hmm. But we're fundamentally religious creatures.
Yeah.
We're all longing for the divine. We all have, and you see it in atheists a lot of the time, is they'll spiritualize the sciences.
Right.
And so Neil deGrasse Tyson is, in my opinion, a great person to look at as deifying science, especially on the Joe Rogan. He'll sermonize his thoughts of the universe.
Right.
And so I think science is just the new religion. Progressivism is a new religion.
Right. Because we need one to function.
Yeah. We like to exist.
Yeah.
You just create a God.
Right.
And that's why I think God was so adamant, you shall have no gods before me.
Right.
Because if we don't have a God, we're going to make one.
Right. Yeah. You need to be loyal to God, not to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because religion shit. I mean, whatever if you're loyal to the culture, it shifts so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. And you see that with progressive people today, is they will abandon what they said yesterday is if it's part of the orthodoxy today.
Not anchored in.
And they have shunning, they have excommunication, but they do not have forgiveness at all.
Yeah.
Once once you've been shunned, you're shunned forever.
Right.
And that's why that's why you see the right growing is because all these people have been excommunicated.
Right.
They're not truly conservative.
It's not
but
long-term thinking if you don't have forgiveness. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no way for these people to get back in the club. So you see them pulling to the right.
Yeah.
They're in no means would they be right wing except for this extreme religion getting rid of dissidents. That's what you see in the J.D. Vance when he's like, we'll win the regular gay guy vote.
Yeah.
I think he's right. Like me and a gay guy have nothing in common. We're not going to agree politically on a lot of things.
Right. I don't know. I know some gay guys that.
Oh, no. Like, I'm not saying you have to be a liberal to be gay. I'm just saying my religious foundation disagrees with their lifestyle. Yeah. And I think that a lot of my viewpoints would be an offense to them just as like out the gate. Yeah. But it is what it is. We're now on the same party. I'm not going to make a big issue out of it because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Right. You know, we'll deal with that after we defeat the bullshit leftists.
Yeah. It's interesting because I saw this even in 2016. I knew gay men who were pro-Trump, and it was just like,
hell yeah,
very, like Second Amendment, very like pro-America.
I love the bumper sticker where it says that, what are your political beliefs? My political beliefs are that my gay married couple friends should be able to have their guns on their pot farm. Yeah. And it's like, fuck yeah. Yeah. I used to be a libertarian, and I would totally subscribe to that. What you do over there is none of my business. Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, it's just, I think that marriage is a religious institution. Right. Not like, I think civil unions is the only thing
tax-wise, it makes sense. Yeah, if you're going to do taxes and stuff, that shouldn't be in the religious institution.
I don't care if it's you and a goat. Right. But marriage is a strictly religious institution. Yeah. So it's a question of definitions for me.
But it's become a thing because of the taxes. Yeah. Like that's the reason why it's become a
No. No, the marriage certificate was first introduced in America to prevent miscegenation.
That's true.
It was to prevent coloreds and non-coloreds from getting married.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a PC term, but it was just to prevent whites from marrying other folks. And I think if you love them truly, just marry whoever you want.
Right.
I don't care.
Right. But it was a way to like keep people out of the group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was to prevent a lot of things from happening.
That's the same with gun rights as well. Like
a lot of them were to stop black militias from uprising, but you see the Whiskey Rebellion, you see a lot of this happening, black and white. It's not, in my opinion, it's not
it's a control.
Race. Yeah, it's a control issue. It's not a race issue. And I think we could win over so many of the black community if they would just stop with it's because you're white, and instead say, oh, it's because they're evil.
Yeah.
And if you can recognize the government as part of the problem instead of the part of the solution.
Yeah. I think that's a very fundamental thing right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you look at the pyramid, and I mean, you talk about Illuminati, but if you have the pyramid and if you can keep the bases fighting against each other, you won't focus on the thing controlling you.
Well, have you seen the pyramid of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
No.
So the hierarchy needs is like food and shelter,
Okay.
and then like self-actualization and community, and it gets more abstract the higher up you go. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people in the ghetto and a lot of white trash, because rednecks and ghetto people are the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just different colors. And if you keep
it's
them,
a class thing. Is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you keep them hungry and you keep them hateful, then they can't climb the hierarchy of needs and be enlightened by. It's not a race thing. It's a class thing. And it's trying to keep the cattle in line.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep them working towards what you need.
Exactly. Because I forget who it was, but I'll get these N-words to vote Democrat for the next 100 years.
Yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about.
But it was the
He was the president.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like not a very recent, like 60s president.
Yeah,
it was
60s
not
president,
long.
and he's been correct.
Yeah. Until maybe this election.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Because I think that will truly break through the racial divide. Is if we.
It's no longer racial.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think it's now the divide is between male and female.
God.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. So we can't. It's impossible to create a nuclear family if we're at each other's throats.
Who is it? Lyndon
B. Johnson.
Yeah. Thank you, Jamie.
We appreciate all that you do.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's having a young daughter, dude. It is being on the same page as my wife and working together as a team is tough. And then having the culture that really pushes against that. Mm-hmm. But my daughter's thriving in a home, in an environment where she's loved, and we're both focused on putting the right stuff in place for her to thrive.
Amen.
You know?
Amen.
And so
because that's the point of marriage.
Yeah.
It's
very rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my word. It's so rewarding, but it's so tough.
Yeah. The second you have a kid, it's no longer about you. Yeah. It's no longer about your wife. It's all about the kids.
Yeah.
And marriage is a service industry.
But I also think, like, man, for me personally, I need to focus on my wife too, because our relationship needs to be so strong and built, because a lot is not taught, it's soaked. My daughter is soaking in stuff. I'm like, where'd you learn this? How'd you learn this? She's picking up things that I wouldn't. And so if that foundation is rough already, and we're both focused, because I think I see this a lot where dad and mom focus on the kid so much that they forget their marriage. Then the kid graduates and is gone, and the marriage is done. And then so many 50-year-olds are divorced. Now I'm seeing it all the time because it's been 20 years, the kids are gone. And now they don't know how to live with each other because they never worked with working. It's crazy.
Yeah. The spouse has to come first as far as like nurture, because the kid is temporary, but like having the extra time especially in a one income household. If you can afford it, it's a very luxury thing nowadays, but it wasn't in the 50s.
Right.
But that gives you the time for the kid, but you need to be pouring into each other at all points of time, because two become one flesh.
Right.
And in that one flesh, you need to be nurturing each other. Otherwise, you get drift, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But have you ever heard the country song, "I'm Watching You, Dad"?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think kids are just innately like that. I think learning is innately like that. It's just absorbing things.
They're absorbing so much.
And I think the reason kids learn better than adults is because when you're an adult, you can turn that faucet
Absorb
up.
off. Yeah.
And you just get stubborn.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that with the boomers.
Oh, I all the boomer hate.
Yeah.
I gotta be graceful in the fact that they are from a different world entirely.
Yeah.
But they need to
But
realize.
they also shaped our world.
Yes, and
Those
they need to realize
stinkers,
they don't know nothing. Why are there boomers making laws about the internet and they don't even know what the internet is?
Right. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, well, all they know is how to stay in power. They're very good at that, and they don't want to get rid of it.
Well, I think that's because a lot of boomers vote down ticket Republican or down ticket Democrat.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter what your actual policies are. It just matters that you're the blue team or the red team.
Right. It's team.
And I think with the younger generations, they're more nuanced.
Yeah.
Like
I'd hope so. I hope so.
I'm registered libertarian, but I never vote libertarian.
You're right.
Like, because a lot of them right now, especially, are more like soft communists. But
Yeah.
as much liberty as possible. But I have actually stepped away from liberalism as a functioning ideology altogether.
Okay.
I think that it is liberalism concedes the point that, because have you heard of like the man in the wilderness theory? I forget what it's called exactly.
No.
Liberalism works off the basis of like it's an idea that before property there was just a man isolated in the wilderness, like pre-society.
Right.
And we should seek to build society so that man's freedoms would be maintained.
Okay.
So there's no like social requirement for you to be a good father or you to be anything. It's trying to relieve you of those social responsibilities as much as possible so that you can increase your own liberty. But I think that fundamentally is a flawed way of thinking about things. And I think the Enlightenment is, as a whole, is a poisoned idea. So I think we need to totally start from scratch on the fundamental way we look at societies, because it's been freedom over everything else, and freedom is as a universal good above everything else.
Right.
I don't think that is. I don't think that's the case.
Right. You should still have responsibilities.
Responsibilities should be taught left, right, and center.
Right.
I don't know if in this society as we have it constructed, that's a good starting point, because like if you know about the plot with like, are you left, right, libertarian or authoritarian?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like center authoritarian right.
Okay.
And I think that's not to be like
you're talking like X, Y.
Yeah, one of those
and
plots. I'm just like one over into the right, one over into the authoritarian.
But pretty center.
Yeah, pretty much center from that one desk, who knows.
Yeah.
But governments, their only function should be manning borders, in my opinion.
Okay.
And then society should pretty heavily censor everything else. I think that the government, with this modern secularism, has overstepped into what the church should have done, like charity and marriage and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, providing and being that safety net for
I
society.
think there very much is. Like, I wouldn't mind on the southern border just a demilitarized zone filled with mines and machine guns.
Yeah, okay.
I do not care. If you're not an American, you have no rights.
Right.
I do not care.
Yeah.
And
It goes back to you saying that you're not a country unless you can secure your own borders.
Yes, you're not a country unless you can do that.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of soft invasions going on in Europe and America right now, where it's we're totally not invading you, but we're sending in more than was the armies that conquered England by France in the Middle Ages.
Right.
Total the numbers are large enough to be armies, and they're all young men, fighting age men.
Yeah.
We're destroying our societies left, right, and center. So a moratorium on all immigration would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go back. I think the libertarian piece where you said like freedom over everything. I think there still needs to be some structure, and I don't think that. I think that the government is overplayed right now, way too much, where they control so much of your life.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we need to do this because it's always been this way. Or can you imagine a world that doesn't have these benefits? Well, no, that's not your role. Your role is to keep an even, level playing field for all of us to move forward and keep doing stuff.
Yes. It's to make sure that other citizens don't interfere with my rights.
It's not to make sure that there's beautiful flowers in front of every single. That's not the government's job, is to make the city beautiful. It's the businesses in front of the places that, and that's the job of the people.
You would have communities proud of their community that would want to do this on a voluntary basis.
Right.
But nothing voluntary can be taxed.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, taxes get into it. Yeah, that's I think the government right now, and some of the government, let's go back to what you said, a lot of purposes and decisions are being made by religious or monetary, and I think the government's both.
Yes. I think a lot of boomer Christians actually deify the state, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's creepy. Like,
did you know that Philadelphia for a long time didn't celebrate 4th of July until World War II?
Really?
They were not happy after the Civil War. There was some type of they were just like they were not happy with the way the United States was, and so we're not going to celebrate the 4th of July. Civil War happens. No, sorry, the World War II happens. Call to arms. The patriotism goes out the roof, and I think we're living off of that high. Right.
I
At one point,
agree.
when people were a little bit more like, screw the government, screw the stuff that's we don't like the fact that we're like in bondage to the state.
Yeah.
There
was a huge move, especially in World War II, towards the military industrial complex and towards a
Are we off? Oh no. Okay.
Oh no. Hello.
We can wrap it up here soon. Just keep it rolling, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay, yeah. So World War II was in military industrial complex. Kennedy spoke against it. Like, there's so many. The rot is deep, and hopefully it gets fixed.
Really? Yeah. The rot is deep, and you said hopefully it gets fixed.
Hopefully, but we'll have to move away from a federal way of thinking things and more of a states-based.
I think it is getting fixed. We don't have to. We can keep podcasting for a little bit longer, so no worries about the cameras, bro. This one's still good. Yeah, just keep it on my face. Okay. But what I would say is, think about 2001, right, and the patriotism that was bolstered then, and I think COVID was a rehash of that same type of playbook, and it's not working.
Exactly, because 2001. We're like, foreign enemy, and you see that in a lot of stand-up. You see that in a lot of music, and we need to fight this guy because I think 9/11 was an inside job, but that's a whole nother story.
Right? Yeah.
You see that with the Bay of Pigs. You see that with a lot of stuff that the FBI and CIA were doing with Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another swamp kind of issue, but their control is loosening, and so you'll get one of two things happening: freedom will increase, or a totalitarian state will happen.
Yeah, I think we're on the can go either direction.
Either or.
Yeah,
but even if we get the good ending in this election, we will still have.
Oh yeah, this is not the savior.
No,
Trump is not the savior.
There's a lot of people that look at him like that, though.
Yeah.
And they need to stop it. They need to, like,
Yeah.
this needs to be a consistent cultural thing.
Yeah. This is just, Jesus is king.
Amen.
Yeah. Man, there's a
Can you believe the conservative side was offended by that? There was a lot of Ben Shapiro specifically was pissed off that everybody was saying Jesus was king, and it's because his Orthodox Jewish sensibilities were offended by it.
Yeah, that's stupid.
No, I'm Christian and I'm proud. I will say it until the guillotine takes my head off.
Yeah, the Star of David goes right. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, no, that's one of the things that I really have tried to shift towards is I'm part of a different kingdom.
Yes.
And so I can't be like focused in on this way of the world we're in right now. It's if Trump wins or Trump loses, it doesn't really affect my world.
Right.
I gotta keep moving and just be focused on what God wants me to do.
Yeah. And eternity beckons. So
right.
Like what's 70 years?
Yeah, or four more of whatever.
Well, in the lifespan of a human, like I'm not going to give up eternity for the convenience of this.
Right. Yeah. Aaron, dude, thanks so much for coming on, bro. It's been fun. We've gone all over the place. It was wild.
Yes, it was a fun conversation. Many more to be had. We'll get into specifics, especially if you got any viewers who were feeling like we didn't hit the right spots for them. I'd be more than happy to come back.
Yeah, and talk. What do you want people to find you? Where can people find you?
I'm not on the internet, but please look up China Insider for any news on China.
Okay.
He exposes a lot of the corruptions. He's fluent in Chinese and English, so he can really delve all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're interested in BlackRock, State Street, all of these mega corporations that are really essentially poisoning us and ruining our lives, then it's Ian Carroll. He's the guy that he was on TikTok. He's got some shorts on YouTube.
Okay.
Look him up. He's amazing.
Ian Carroll. Okay.
Yeah, and really just educate yourself. Look at alternative medias and try to keep an open mind with anything you're looking up.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
They're not evil because they say they're evil. They're evil because of what they do.
Right. Aaron, thank you so much, bro. Appreciate you. Peace.